this. I wondered what would change. I really couldn't say. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing. I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known that would have kept me from the one I had today. Except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing. I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known that would have kept me from the one I had today.
Good morning. How are we doing out there, you guys? This is 1100 WSG. I'm Utah Laverne, and this is one street over. Aaron Spradlin's in the house. Yes, you brought those storms with you, brother.
I apologize.
Oh, my goodness.
Until I got here.
Yeah, I know. Well, I've been watching them. It's a Monday morning, stormy Monday morning. Not the way we like to start out our Monday morning, but, you know, God is good. He is in control, y'all. And, anyway, just be careful out there. Put those headlights on. You know, it's still dark enough. There's the old traffic reporter in me. When it starts raining, if you've got your windshield wipers on, you need to have your headlights on, guys. That's the thing. So please get those headlights on and be extra cautious. Be advised of the school buses. I didn't get to do my normal, we're back to school. Watch out for the school buses last Monday because we were having technical issues, but everything's working fine right now. And we're just so glad to be here. Thank you for joining us here at 1100 WSGI. And thank you, Aaron Spradlin with Pale Horse. Is it Pale Horse Security?
Pale Horse Global Risk and Security. Yep.
Yeah, Pale Horse Global Risk and Security, and then your nonprofit is
the Mission America Foundation.
Mission America Foundation. And Aaron and I have known each other a few years now.
Yeah.
And he came and spoke with my kiddos at Greenbrier last year. And our principal really wants you to come in and talk at the faculty meeting sometime.
Absolutely.
And the reason why is because there's just so much that has happened since I last saw you. Because, let me just say, first off, okay, I don't even know where to start, Aaron. I said, okay, I want you to come in and I want to do an interview with you that I can share with my classes because you're an hour from me. It's a lot for you to come in and spend the day with me in the classroom.
It's my pleasure.
Well, you're awesome. And I may still want you to come in live, but I wanted to have something that I could just very conveniently say, kiddos, I want you to listen to this. I want you to listen to this man. And he has, I know Sound of Freedom's out right now. And I've been so frustrated by some of the things that have been said about the movie, about, they have blown it out of proportion. They've done, I'm like, no. I remember when Tim came into the Blaze, when I was down there, and when all this started with Glenn and how Glenn got the seed money, you were on some of the early jump teams. You were on some of the teams.
Yes, ma'am.
That went in with Tim Ballard.
I never worked with Tim, but I worked for him.
You worked for Operation Underground Railroad.
Yes, ma'am.
And so you had you just gotten out of the military when all that started?
Oh, no.
Were you still, I don't even know where to start with you. Talk about the time that you served. When did you serve? What was the time?
I served from 97 to 01 the first time, and I went back from 2008 to 2010.
Okay.
It wasn't until, I started my company in 2009 while I was coming out of the 20th Special Forces Group, which is a Guard Special Forces Group out of Alabama.
Okay.
And I in all that little bit of time there, I'd worked for Homeland as a contractor. I'd worked for the State Department as a contractor. And then I got to start really moving with my company. And I didn't really get into the fight against anti-trafficking until 2016.
Okay.
So I had been given kind of a little bit of a warning from the man that there was something that I was supposed to do, and the man I'm talking about is the man upstairs.
We're talking about God.
And
very spiritual. Mm-hmm.
And he kind of put me in a direction, and I haven't stopped since. And the first, I'm very grateful that the first people I got to work with was Operation Underground Railroad before we started our foundation. And we started that because of the fact that we had to give veterans purpose and mission.
Yeah.
And we gave them purpose and mission fighting the greatest scourge of the earth, which is, in my opinion, the trafficking of children, the exploitation of children, and the horror that it is. But we do it domestically. We don't do it abroad like an Operation Underground Railroad or an international justice mission. We work here in the United States because we're the number one consumer of this in the world.
Doesn't that just make you sick? Mm-hmm. I'm a patriot. I'm a proud American. But when I hear that, I want to be sick.
Yeah, it's nauseating.
It just makes me sick. And when I understand what you told me, I remember one of the first conversations you and I had. We were getting ready for the big draft that came to Nashville. Tell people what you told me about that.
Well, because of the fact that lots of people with lots of money all converge on one place. The number one place in the year is the Super Bowl. But we had about 500,000 people in Nashville during the NFL draft. Now, I give great credit and admire the way that the law enforcement community came together and basically put a blanket of protection over Nashville for that draft. And between Homeland, between the TBI, the FBI, law enforcement, local, state, they made it almost impossible for people to even try to solicit the trafficking or prostitution or anything like that in Tennessee because they had a cyber net over the city, which is what everyone should do whenever there's a major event like that. I'm sure that the Grand Prix had a very similar thing here, 2 weeks ago. Just because of the massive amount of people. But the massive amount of people bring a massive amount of money. And it's interesting to me that, the ones that are the ones doing this are people that are affluent. Now, it's also all the way down to the poorest of the poor. But anytime I ever worked overseas, you portray yourself as a wealthy American, and 15 minutes, somebody's approaching you. You don't even have to look for it. I mean, I went to a tiki bar in Dominican Republic. I had 7 minutes, and I had somebody at the tiki bar asking me if I needed a little girl because I was a wealthy, air quote, portraying a wealthy American because that's the ones that are coming there to do it.
Unbelievable. And that's the thing with when you go see Sound of Freedom, that's Tim Ballard was working for I don't know, the Department of Homeland Security, but he was working to go and arrest Americans that were doing that abroad. That was his task. But then he's like, what about the kids? And that's how Operation Underground Railroad started. And so, go see the movie. The story is true. It's true. It's true. It's true, and we've got to turn a open heart to this and say this has got to stop, and that's what has driven you now for so many years. But again, you say from the American side of it, because people don't realize how prevalent it is right here. Because I mean, it just when I talk to my kids, I'm like, you don't have any idea who you're talking to on social media. You don't have any idea what's going on. And it's like we argue with our kids about taking up cell phones, okay? And one of the things that I push to my students is the reason why we push so hard for you to put your phone away is you may very well, somewhere in this county, there are children who their abusers keeping up with them because of that cell phone. And if they can say, my teacher took up my phone and I could not have it, at least it gives them a break. Right. It gives them a minute away from whoever is abusing them, whoever is doing just things that we can't even fathom.
They're grooming them through their phones. They're grooming them through their tablets. All right. So I think I told you this before. If I got on my phone right now and went on Facebook, I could create a Facebook profile as a 14-year-old girl. Now, I'm a 14-year-old girl. I'm not talking. I'm just typing, right? And all I have to do is go into these game rooms and get in the chats. And they're so sophisticated with, they know what to look for, the bad guys, that is, they know what to look for, that they're going to find that introvert or that shy or that something that triggers that person on the other side needs somebody. And then they're going to slowly but surely befriend them until it gets to a point where that other person, soon to be victim, trusts that person who they believe is a 14-year-old girl. Then it turns into maybe a play date. And that play date turns into a nightmare. And, sometimes it's not as drastic as kidnapping. It can be happening, and that person still goes to school every day. That person, they're under a pressure because now their parents could be hurt or threatened. Their shame could come out. There's so many ways that they manipulate these kids, and it all started based on coming through their cyber life. And I say that the best way for us to stay ahead of that is for the parents to stay involved in the cyber life. And it's when you get into deep conversations like that, when you're playing a game, and then they know the keywords to trigger and get you to really trust them. And now you think you really have a new friend, especially if you're an introvert or a shy girl or a shy boy. And, you're kind of an outcast. And, if you want to call an outcast, they just don't have a big group of friends and they're lonely. And these monsters take advantage of that.
Well, and that's one thing I've talked to my students because I'm doing audio and video, and I asked them the other day, how much time do you spend on your devices? Unbelievable. And a lot of the ones that were gamers, just constant. If they're not in school, it sounds like they're on their game. And I can't imagine the conversations that are happening and the things that are, because, sometimes ones that are doing a lot of gaming, you can kind of tell they keep to themselves.
Do you know what the national average for just an average person, not just a child? You know what the national average is for looking at your phone in one day?
I'm afraid to.
It's over 2,000 times. We look at our phone over 2,000 times. Now, how many times are they looking at their phone?
There's no telling.
When you see them, you're like, oh, them kids are on the phone all the time. Oh, my God, get off your phone. Get off your phone. We don't realize we're on our phone, too.
Yes, we are.
And it's become a major distraction to everything.
Well, and it's just like I will fuss at my students to put their phones up, and then I'm checking an email. Miss Vivio, put your phone up. And I'm like, yes, you're right. Absolutely. And because, we're checking our emails, and I'm like, I am answering something with, it's something that needs to be answered right now for school, but I need to do that on my computer and not ever let them see me using my phone because I'm telling them to stay off their phone. We're talking with Aaron Spradlin, and he is just a dear friend who is out there being the hands and feet of Jesus, trying to put an end to this problem we have with human trafficking. And it is a profound problem. Since I've been with Celebrate Recovery, stories that I've heard of testimonies of people and the abuse they've suffered is unbelievable. One person that was trafficked by a parent.
Oh yeah, that's real big in Tennessee.
That's incredible to me, and just to hear their story, and just how in the world does that happen? How do you have that? I keep my eyes open for kids coming through the school system, just if something doesn't seem right, And I think that's something you talk to my kids about is if you've got a classmate that just seems like something's just not. What do we need to look for? What do we need to look for?
You're going to see a change in personality. First of all.
But what if you're just getting to know them? These kids are new to me.
Right.
And I've got kids in my class, and I'm thinking, okay, you're just not engaged.
No, when you came up, when I came up, you always had some people that were kind of off the sidelines that just didn't interact with a lot of people. They may have been, they might have been, really cerebral. They love to read more than they love to talk to people. They love to, there's always that shy kid, whatever. What you're looking for, and there's some physical traits you can look for. You can look for malnourished because they're so messed up they don't even eat. The eyes underneath the bags under the eyes is because they're going through this at night. Bruising, markings, tattoos. Some of the gangs like to mark their product like a brand, lashing out, aggressively lashing out because they're so their system and their mind and everything is so messed up from what has happened or what is happening. I believe, there was a girl that when I was in your class, there was a girl that I looked at you and I didn't realize that she had some medical conditions, but I said, that looks like, she has some medical conditions, but it's almost, I don't know. Like they haven't had any sleep. They haven't had any food. They're not talkative or they're really aggressive. Missing school would be another, where they've been. Parents not interacting with the teachers because they may be a part of it. When we talk about this, Sound of Freedom was the first thing we talked about. But in Tennessee, when we started this fight, we were in 72 counties out of 95 counties had trafficking under 13.
Say that again.
72 counties out of 95 counties in the state of Tennessee had trafficking under the age of 13 reported. That's a TBI number. Now it's 95 counties out of 95 counties under the age of 13 have had trafficking reported. So it's everywhere. We're sitting in a very rural country county, and it's in this county too. It's not Nashville. It's not Miami. It's not New York, LA. It's right here. It's everywhere. And it may be a very small scale, or it could be a massive scale, and you just don't even know it. I mean, down in Williamson County where we're at, we've had 4 busts in the last 3 months that were involving children. And I mean,
in
really?
Williamson County, 3 that involved children. I just can't even fathom this. That's the thing. We watch, the Sound of Freedom, and we think it's over there. No. It's in our.
And that's where that's why it's so easy to exploit it.
Yeah.
And even to the point where the law enforcement can't even do their jobs. They try, but then when they get to the DAs, and the DAs don't even want to prosecute because they don't know how to prosecute, they put their life on the line, the cops, to try to save these kids. But I'll tell you, the people that are trafficking these kids are violent. They're extremely dangerous. It is very organized crime, and it's everything from the cartels to the MS-13, the Brown Pride, the Gangster Disciples, the Jalisco cartel, the Sinaloa cartel. They're all here. They may not be in a mass like they are in other cities and whatnot, but they're here because they're pushing that money back to the boss. And when you see an opportunity for a new product, you go ahead and you sell it.
Talking with Aaron Spradlin, and he is with Pale Horse GRS, and it's just, we're going to talk to him about a lot of different things. I mean, we're already 18 minutes in. I'm going to pause and do a break, but if you have any questions, you can throw them up on our comment section on Facebook. It's a conversation we need to have, and we need to have it again and again and again. I do know, I'll just tell you right now, my principal does want you to come, Dr. Osborne, and come talk to the staff. And I guess, when you think about, if you were to come in and talk to the staff, you've got a limited amount of time. I'm going to come back from my spot and say, what can we do as educators? Let's start there. So let me do my ad, and we'll come back and say,
Sure,
what would you advise us as educators to do to help combat this problem and just protect our kiddos. But let's pause for a second. I want to talk about Veterans Motorplex. My friend Jerry, he has done such a great job with the old Highland Rim Speedway. You're going to follow them on social media at Highland Rim Speedway. This is the one that is up there in Greenbrier. It's at 6801 Kelly Willis Road in Greenbrier. It's so important to follow them on social media because if there's any kind of a rain delay, anything that happens like that, they're going to talk about it on social media and let you know of a schedule change. But every Saturday night they plan on racing, so unless the rain pushes them off, you're going to have racing happening. Gates open at 4 p.m. Racing starts at 6 and goes until about 9 o'clock, depending on how long everything takes to get it done. But they put on a great show, a lot of local favorites, games. They'll do little big wheel races and things like that for the kids. Got a great concession stand. It is a good time. And this back page of the Let's Talk Trash News is your ticket to get in. If you can still find these around town, there's still some of them out there, but this is a $40 value. This was on the last edition of the Let's Talk Trash. There'll be another one coming out here real soon. But this back page is good for the entire racing season. You can take this in and get your whole family in, up to 6 kids and 2 adults for free, and that way you can just see how much you love the races. Debbie Keenan, as a matter of fact, is going to be in tomorrow. She is the publisher. Her and Keenan Group, they are the publishers of the Let's Talk Trash, and so we're going to have her come in tomorrow and talk to us a little bit about what they do and that publication. But if you want to get to the races, give Jerry a call, 615-643-8725, 615-643-8725. Follow them on Highland Rim Speedway, but get to Veterans Motorplex, and please let them know that you turned sent you. Aaron Spradlin's with us. He is with Pale Horse GRS and the nonprofit. Tell me again.
Mission America Foundation.
Mission America Foundation. And he has worked with Operation Underground Railroad that you see in The Sound of Freedom. Got several things I want to talk to him about before we burn up our hour today. But I know with my principal saying, hey, I'd love for him to come in and talk to the teachers. What message would you have for educators regarding this?
Well, the first thing I would do is I would talk about the signs that we just sort of briefly touched on. Mm-hmm. I would also, if you're going to talk to the faculty, mm-hmm. you need to talk to the students, and you can do that in a way that isn't scary. Okay. They need to know that it's in their backyard too, mm-hmm. and they need to know what to look for. I have a sister organization that is down in Dallas that has actually published a comic book, and it's almost based like a superhero comic book. And it tells the story of a bad guy and what they're trying to do and how they're trying to do it and how to protect yourself against it. And my goal is to get thousands of them brought to Tennessee and distributed out to the schools throughout. I think we have like 1,930 public schools in the state of Tennessee. Mm-hmm. And even if you only have a couple of them in a library, just so that you have some reference, because it is the teachers also educating. Like right now, I'm talking to a guy that's visiting this morning with the head of health and physical education for Williamson County. He wants to bring this to the attention of the schools in Williamson County. So how do we do it? We start with the faculty, then we move into the students, right? Mm-hmm. And it's just an awareness campaign. It's no different than DARE or, the old Mothers Against Drunk Driving, all those kind of awareness campaigns where you're bringing this to the attention. This is more than drunk driving, and this is more than, drugs. This is something that can happen, and you don't have a volunteer to do it. You know what I'm saying? So if I was to come in and talk to the faculty, I would talk about the signs to look for. I would talk about a little of the history of how it happened, when it started, why it started, how it works in communities like this, and the drug involvement that goes with it as well. Mm-hmm. We'd probably spend about an hour and a half, mostly in Q&A, about, once I give a presentation, what we can do to get ahead of it. So Pale Horse has a motto, which is left of bang. Okay. So what left of bang means is you're ahead of the explosion before it happens, so you can prevent it. Uh-huh. As opposed to the explosion happens and then the chaos that ensues afterwards. Mm-hmm. So we want to be left of bang on this, right? Mm-hmm. So your teachers and your administrators and educators know how to not only look for the signs, but how to consistently talk about something maybe once a quarter. This is something that we really need to keep on the forefront, because as it becomes more lucrative to the bad guys than drugs, this is going to become more important than the fight against drugs. This is a very lucrative ROI for a bad guy, right? It's mentioned in the movie, if you sell a bag of drugs, you have to go buy more drugs. If you sell a child, you can sell that child 10 times a day at $150 a time minimum. And then you do that 10 times a day, 7 days a week until they're maybe 17, 18. And if they still have the capacity, you make yourself another product. So it is a very lucrative and cheaper way to make money than the drug trade is. So nobody's prosecuting it. Nobody's stopping it. The Johns are growing exponentially. So the demand is there. The product has to be there. I mean, that would be the thing. I would go through the whole process, because when people think about the movie. Oh, the movie, yeah, that's great. But now what? Yeah, exactly. I would have appreciated at the end if maybe they said, now what? Yeah. But, they didn't, and that's no fault of how they did the production and how they did the end of the movie. But you should have had a PSA at the end of it. Yeah. Yes, God's children not for sale. That's a motto. We need action. Yeah. And that's where the community getting involved. We're getting ready to launch our own grassroots campaign called Not Our Town, where we're going to come into every town that we can, and we're going to do, if it's a rally, if it's whatever, a bus tour, something, Not Our Town, to show that we're not going to let this happen. Because if you look at the American people as a whole, if there's, let's just go round numbers, 330 million, 3 million people are the ones doing this. So the majority can crush the minority very easily if they just lift up their boot and step on it.
Yeah. I mean, and it's just so much of what you said there. Oh man, I got to take notes when you're talking, so I know what questions to ask, because you said, okay, I know what I wanted to ask you that perked up my ears when you said it. When did this start? You said you would talk about when this started.
Oh yeah.
So talk to me about that. Talk to me about this. When did this start then?
You remember this fella named Jesus?
Well, yeah.
Okay. So that about, when Rome didn't have enough money to pay its soldiers, they sent their soldiers out. They said, whatever you kill, like kill the villages, keep the people, keep the women and the children, and you can sell them. There's your beginning. And it hasn't stopped.
Okay.
But as we've progressed into a much higher demand here in the world, it's all based on the porn industry and what that has done to the human mind. All right. The dopamine levels can't be fulfilled with the most vile of vile on the internet. So eventually they have to go out and find out what it is for themselves. It's a reprogramming of the brain. It used to be simple, as horrible as this sounds. Pedophiles, sociopathic child predators. Those two things were what you were dealing with. A pedophile has a type. You fill a room with children, and he's not going to trigger unless there's a blonde-haired, blue-eyed 7-year-old boy. Not going to trigger. A sociopathic child predator is like a crocodile. He's going to eat everything in his path because it's about dominance and power. That's what puts him over, right? Now you've got normal people that have a porn addiction that have went as far as they can into the vileness of the porn industry to where they're into the child porn now. And that's not enough to trigger that dopamine effect. So they have to go out and go further. That's why it's become so much more of an issue in the world right now, because this silly little device that you can get anything in the world. I can say, hey, if I say it, she'll come on. Hey, Siri. If I go on there, I can say, I want a medium rare. And she yelled at me. And I whispered, but I can say, I want a medium rare steak. And you know what's going to happen? I'm going to get every steak commercial, Omaha. I'm going to get everything in the world coming to my phone because it's thinking faster than I am. So it knows how to feed me what I want through the algorithms. Yeah. So if I'm into that realm, I'm constantly getting bombarded with those enticements over and over and over till finally I just break and I got to know what it's like. So then I research, how do I do it? And then I figure out how I do it. I mean, here in Tennessee, you can call a dadgum phone number, a call center, have a child delivered.
Whew. All right, guys. This is heavy stuff, and I tell you, there's just so much we could talk to Aaron's. I just don't even know how to respond to this because it's just it's because of my work with Celebrate Recovery. I hear stories all the time. I'm stunned at how many people as children were abused. From my generation. Oh, much higher. And it's heartbreaking, and it's just the depravity of it all. And I can't begin to tell you guys, the only way that we turn off the darkness is to shine light onto it. And I appreciate you so much, brother, for shining the light into the darkness, for physically going into the darkness and rescuing these young people. And I can't say enough about it. Let me pause. We're talking. If you have any questions, any comments for Aaron Spradlin, just throw them up in comments. But we're going to continue on with our conversation. So much we can talk about. I want to come back and let's reset and talk about what happened after Covenant. Okay, you mentioned that when we came in. So let's reset, and we'll come back, and we're going to talk about some of your experiences after Covenant, and get your thoughts on that as we continue here on One Street Over. This is 1100 WSGI, and we appreciate so much our sponsors. So thankful for Cumberland Connect and how that they have invested in our program and what they're investing in our community, because the internet has replaced our phone lines, and we need high-speed internet to do our work. So many of us working from home. So many of us, that's how we, watch our entertainment and do all the things that we do. And because it is a utility now, it's being facilitated through the electric companies. And Cumberland Connect has done it beautifully. To get Cumberland Connect, you're going to have to be a Cumberland Electric customer. But if you're a Cumberland Electric customer, they're getting super close to getting everybody connected with the option of having Cumberland Connect. And once you check it out, everybody's in the gig club that can, it's like $80 to get a gig. Why not? So all my guests seem to be in the gig club that are Cumberland Electric customers and part of Cumberland Connect. But if you're somebody and you're like, well, $80 is a lot of money, I don't know if I can afford any kind of internet. Because it is a utility, there is an affordable connectivity program providing qualifying households with monthly credit to help pay for internet services. And if you're eligible, you could receive a credit of up to $30 per month toward broadband services. And they've got packages that start at $30 per month. So if you want to know more, you can give them a call at 1-800-987-2362, 1-800-987-2362, or go to cumberlandconnect.org, cumberlandconnect.org, put in your zip code, and they'll tell you exactly when they are going to be knocking on your door and get you some high-speed internet. When you do, please let them know that U-Turn sent you. And we're continuing to talk with Aaron Spradlin. He is with Pale Horse GRS. I was trying to remember the letters. And your nonprofit again. I got to write these things down. I'm a scatter mess.
Mission America.
Mission America. You'd think I could remember that. Anyway, but I see that we had Miss Barbara Willis is talking about, she's wanting to talk about the foreign exchange program, and we would love to get them on and do that. And we want to continue to invite you, if you want to be a foreign exchange host, please reach out to the foreign exchange program here in the county and help them out. But we will be talking more about that. Right here at the First of School is a good opportunity to get involved in some kids' lives. Anything you can do to mentor our young people, it's a good thing. So please reach out to them. Aaron Spradlin is here, Mission America, and Pale Horse GRS, and we appreciate him so much. Your nonprofit, how can they get involved? Because I'm assuming that y'all do fundraisers and things like that for the nonprofit. How can they get involved with that?
We do. We just don't do it. We don't do it very aggressively.
I hear you.
We don't have time.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but no, you can go to the missionamericafoundation.com.
Okay.
Go in, you can sign up for a newsletter. You can just get in the Get Involved volunteer page. We're getting ready to launch a video PSA that'll be on there. That'll talk about a public service announcement that talks about the very things, some of the top 10 things that you can do or you can see that would be signs of this. See something, say something. Right. We do a training program that's our SAFE program, situationally aware, fundamentally empowered, where we not only do we teach them the situational awareness piece of how to stay away from this, but we also teach them some stun and run techniques on how to get away from bad guys if, in fact, they are about to become victim of a kidnapping that's going to lead to this. Mm-hmm. And so, and it's very effective. I'm proudly say that I had a 12-year-old girl knock me out one time in one of our classes. So it's very effective. The mothers and the other girls thought it was a riot. I didn't.
I think that's hysterical.
But yeah, she was a 12-year-old basketball player, and she hit me with a knife hand in the neck, and I had a pad up there, but I didn't get it seated, and she hit it, and she knocked me straight to the ground. It was entertaining for everybody else, but
it shows the effectiveness of the proper training.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and that a 12-year-old girl could take down a 250-pound man.
That's what people don't understand. We had, when I was working at the Blaze, because around Glenn, he had all kinds of security. But all of us that were working with him, we were considered soft targets. And so they had I can't remember the guy's name, but they came in and did a little training with us. And we were doing ads for him and stuff too, because he was doing some advertising. But the techniques that they taught us just in an afternoon were very effective. And I remember to this day, to where I think I could handle, I don't know for sure. I don't want to be in that situation, but I don't live in fear.
Right.
I'm not going to let somebody harm me without fighting back. Absolutely. I think he tells a story. That was the thing. He told a story. I wish I could think of this guy's name. It's been so many years. But he was telling a story about this athlete, just amazing athlete that was running in like Yosemite somewhere. And she was attacked and murdered and raped. And whenever they finally found her, it was so evident that she had tried to fight but she didn't know how to. She didn't know what to do.
Yep.
She didn't know those trigger places where she could have attacked her or attack her back that might have. It was obvious. You can investigate a crime scene, and he goes, it's just heartbreaking to know that she didn't know how to fight back.
Right.
And so tell me again, where can they go to find that? Because I'm going Mission America, and I'm not finding you here.
The Mission America, the SAFE program is something that we put out just as a service. It's not in the website.
Okay.
But you can request it via the
Well, what's the website for Mission America?
Mission America Foundation.
Okay, that's when I messed up. Okay, so it's Mission America Foundation.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, there we go. I want to make sure we get all this right. Okay, missionamericaffoundation.com.
Yep.
So that's where you can go for the nonprofit, missionamericaffoundation.com, and it would help if I've spelled it correctly. I'm trying to pull it up here just so I've got the point of reference for, I'll try to put the link up too in our comments. There we are. There you are. All right, buddy. Well, and there's on here, you can get the news, you can get involved, request help, get you in to speak, because you go and speak, and just like now, you go pretty much all over America, don't you? Mm-hmm. So what happened after Covenant? You got your demand on your time really fast, right?
Yeah, so Covenant happened, unfortunately, that day, and then I went on the radio the next morning from the security standpoint. Now we're changing hats. Pale Horse has been around for 14 years now, and we work in, threat and risk analysis. We do high-end, high-threat security work, and so I was called in to see, my opinion. Well, the opinion branched into going to speak to other people. Then we ended up, our company now is securing schools. We finished up the school year last year. We're in schools now. But, of course, it was about 2 weeks ago. We were out speaking with Vivek Ramaswamy and Candace Owens about asking for the manifesto to be released, which there are, there are varying opinions on that particular thing, but we learned from those things.
And that was on the Daily Wire. So if you're...
No, that was national. That went everywhere. That was.
Oh, it did.
Yeah,
okay.
Because Vivek came here because he filed a lawsuit to have it released.
Okay. When you mentioned Candace, I thought maybe that was.
Well, she was speaking she wasn't speaking as a Daily Wire employee. She was speaking as a Tennessee mother. That was her stance. Now, of course, she has a massive platform, so she has a lot more noise. Mm-hmm. And then when I spoke, it was more of an educational reason. When Columbine happened, as horrible as Columbine was, we learned from what happened to create new protocols to prevent those things from happening, right? Mm-hmm. Even in this particular case, that this horrible story that happened in Nashville, everything was done right up to one point. It was one way in, one way out. They had hardened their entire facility. They'd done everything they possibly could to protect against this kind of thing. There's an opinion that is mine and others that agree with me, but since it's mine, I'll only hold to mine. The only way to fight a bad person with a gun is with a good person with a gun. And if you can put a highly trained person, whether it be law enforcement or private, between the bad guy and your children, you should put them between the bad guy and your children. You train all your staff. And listen, you can be for teachers carrying or against teachers carrying. Little known fact, there was a gun in that school that day, and it was locked in her desk. It could have not, she didn't get to it in time, okay? If you have somebody there that can prevent it, it's going to be a lot more effective than not. Mm-hmm. You can harden a school as much as you want to, and you can turn it into Fort Knox. And if you do everything right, you buy the ballistic paneling and you do all the magnetic locks, and you funnel everybody in and out of one. And, you have camera systems that are now set up much better. And, of course, there was a massive allotment of money that came out to the state of Tennessee's education or to the schools to protect them. But it's how they implement it. All right. And so that's what we've been busy doing over the last 2.5, 3 months, 4 months. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, lobbying for, better decisions with the money and how they use it. And so between the foundation, running the firm, and this, it's been exhausting. But that's just what I do. And I don't know what else to do. I wanted to be a professional golfer, but it didn't work out.
I love that. We're talking with Aaron Spradlin, and I have put up his links on comments, so you can go and you can find the Mission America Foundation.com is how you find them, and this is the nonprofit, and then PaleHorseGRS.com is where you can find and hire him for full service protection, global security, and all the things that he does professionally. And what do you? Let me do another break and. What do you think is the most important thing that you say to people, maybe say to our kids that are in school right now? Do you have, you got an elevator speech that you wish every kid could hear, and then maybe one for every parent and educator, or is it all the same message? Because I know in your heart, you see so much. We've got such a short attention span. Mm-hmm. So how do we distill the message down to say, this is how we conquer this? Is that a fair assessment? Think about that for a minute. Let me do my break. And just in the limited amount of time, I'm just trying to best utilize the time as we can. And two, trying to kind of distill down the ideas of what I want you to bring to the educators when we get you into a staff meeting. Because I know Dr. Osborne is going to want me to pursue this because we talked about it last year. But let's pause for just a second. Let's talk about one of our sponsors. We appreciate our sponsors so very much. And I saw Barry and Rebecca Richards this weekend. Trading days was a lot of fun, by the way. We had a lot of fun. Yeah, we had some rain that kind of threw a little bit of a wrench into the works, but still a great time. That was the first one, and we're going to continue to do that. And I just can't say enough about the fun we have out at the Robertson County Fairgrounds. Anytime you go out there, it's just a good time. So, but we were there. Barry and Rebecca, they were there. They had a booth set up for the Exit Realty Garden Gate team, and we talked a little bit about some of the things that we want to do. We want to start maybe sharing with you some of the listings that they have. So what we're going to do is we're working to get those listings to me as far as, hey, this is what's just come available down the street from you. Because if you're looking to relocate, if you're looking for a new property, you've got a friend that wants to come to Robertson County or wherever they're looking, because they specialize in Robertson County properties, but they also buy and sell in the surrounding counties and across the state line in Kentucky. They're up in Cross Plains. They're one of us. You find them out everywhere. They're always sponsoring events and doing things for the community, but they want to try to present better the different listings. So over the course of the next few days, you're going to start hearing some new listings coming out, and we're going to concentrate on that as they continue to work with our little program here, One Street Over. But if you want experts that come to the table, whether you're buying or selling, you want a marketer on your team, that's Barry. He came out of a marketing background we always talk about, and he is expert at the videography and the drone footage and getting all the things done to make sure your property gets top dollar. You can connect with them at sellwithbecky.com, sellwithbecky.com, or buy, B-U-Y, robertsoncounty.com, or just real simply, give Rebecca a call, 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425, and let them know that U-Turn sent you. Aaron Spradlin is with me. He's with Pale Horse GRS and with Mission America Foundation. There you go. I got it. All right. But, and I drove an hour. He's in Williams County, guys. This man is dedicated to what he is doing. I've known him for a while now and respect the heck out of him. He's one of our veterans, honored veteran, and worked with Operation Underground Railroad that you saw about and that you've been learning about with the Sound of Freedom, all those things. But he's working domestically right here to stop this because it is a problem that people just want to turn a blind eye to. So you've got to, if you have just a few minutes with people, what would you say to them?
Well, first and foremost, this is the most important part, okay? Up until, even now, even though it's a Sound of Freedom, everybody focuses on this being a global problem, not an America problem. They also focus on, if it is happening in America, it's happening to, people that are being brought across the border. It's happening to this, that, and the other. That's not. The fact of the matter, this is the key I want you to hear if you're listening. 83% of the children trafficked in America are American children. 83% of the children trafficked in America are American children. We had, that number will fluctuate a little bit now due to the border crisis. In 2018, 14,752 unaccompanied minors came across the border. Those are the ones that we counted, and I'll explain how we can't count them in a moment. From March of 2022 to March of 2023, 150,000 unaccompanied minors came across the border that we counted. 150,000 brand new product, if you will, as the bad guys look at it, come across this border. So our 83% of our children probably dropped to 81% of our children. Still 81% of our children, American children, are trafficked in America. I went down because I needed to see it for myself. The Governor Abbott of Texas said that McAllen, Texas, and the Rio Grande Valley is the thoroughfare for child trafficking into America. So I drove down to Laredo, and I worked in Laredo, drove all the way to McAllen, 277 miles of border. The Rio Grande Valley is 34,000 square miles with 277 miles of border. Only 9 checkpoints in all that space, and 2 about 20 miles in for the smugglers. What are they not getting to count?
And that's the truth. I know.
And I asked a Border Patrol agent as I was coming through that smuggling checkpoint, I said, if there's anything in the world that you could get to support you, what would it be? And he said, more people. He said, if 20 people walked across right over here to my right, 100 yards, I can't leave my post to go see whether they're people trying to get here for a better life, or it's children that are being trafficked, or it's Al-Qaeda, ISIS, China. I have no idea who it is because I can't walk 100 yards over there to see who it is because we don't have enough manpower. And that was just one section of the border. Mm-hmm. I come back. I was reporting this all back to Congressman Green, of course, is the chair of Homeland Security. So I'm feeding him what I'm finding because I've known him for over a decade. So I just keep sharing from when he was with the state. And I'm going back, but I'm going to a different border this time to see exactly how that's working. And the flow is so horrible. And then we bring them into our cities, and then we disperse them out all over. Think about I'm thinking, let's 200,000 children. They don't speak English. Mm-mm. They're going to be at the mercy of whoever has them. And then when they're done being a sex slave, they'll become a labor slave. And they'll die in the land of the free, never spending one day being free. Mm. And it's horrible. And to that point, the majority are still our own children. And we're not doing anything about it. Not to politicize anything. You send $2 gazillion to Ukraine, and you don't spend $1 to fight this in the United States. We have the budget. We have the money. We have the resources. We don't have the leadership. Even under the Trump administration, when we were under the Trump administration, we had a massive task force that was fighting this and was being very successful. The day Biden came in office, he shut it down. Now, I know it's not a political show, but the fact is, that's what happened. Now, why? Now, I'm not saying that, the left's someone doing the right. All of them, all the ugly people do this. It's not a party that does this. It is the most demonic thing on this planet right now. And I say that because I get to see it every day. Every time we're successful, Satan throws a million things at us. Every time we're successful because we're upsetting his apple cart. And if the majority started to rise up and upset the apple cart, maybe we could get rid of the apple cart. Mm-hmm. That's what I would say to the people. American children are the victims. We have the power to stop it. We have to stop it by not putting our head in the sand anymore and realizing that this is something that we need to fight against as a community and as a country. That's what we have to do. So that's my... Well,
and I'll just tell you, I put Pale Horse link up in the comments, and I'll continue to share it, and just say this is somebody. If you went to Sound of Freedom and you're like, okay, yeah, God's children are not for sale. Well, then, like you said, what next?
Right.
Get involved with what Pale Horse is doing, or not Pale Horse. I mean Mission America. Pale Horse is the company. But if you want to get involved with Mission America and see what they're doing, that's the nonprofit that you can get involved with and just start being aware of what's going on and shine a light on this. It's incredible, and it's something that we all have to take seriously. You mentioned this this coloring book that talks to kids about the victimization and all of those things. Have they thought about doing that digitally? I know that you want to put a physical, because the woman that I'm having on tomorrow, the Keenan group, they've done a lot of what they call flip books digitally, where you can put them on digitally and you can just flip through them.
I'll reach out to the
They do that, and I can guarantee you the Keenans would be all about helping you do this.
I will reach out to
I
the
can
founder.
make those connections, and I'll talk to her about it tomorrow, because, I mean, they could get her that, and she could digitally do that like that. I mean, she's been doing this forever.
Okay.
And I'm not going to commit her to it, but I can almost guarantee you she'd be like, oh, absolutely. Because that's just the kind of heart they have.
It's such a wonderful way to tell such a horrible story.
Yeah.
And it does it in the way of a comic book with a superhero in it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a brilliant, the people that developed this are also a very, very cyber fighter against this is the best way to put it.
Right.
They utilize the technology to find the bad guys, and then working hand in hand with law enforcement entities to take them down where, you know, you're crushing their IP, or you're tracking their IPs, and you're finding out where they are. You're geofencing their locations. Law enforcement comes in, does the bust, collects all the computers and everything, the phones, the SD cards, and then you start really having some effective, because it's much more dangerous inside this tablet or inside your phone, because it's not out in the open. If you're in a hotel having the act with someone, then it's much more risky for the John, right? But they don't care; they still do it. But as far as the online trafficking, the online exploitation, I can't even put a number on it. I mean, right now there's that estimate is there's 40 million people being trafficked in the world, and 25% of them are children, which is 10 million children in the world are being trafficked. That's a lot of people. When I started, it was 1.2 million, and that was only in 2016. We've grown from 1.2 million globally to 10 million children being trafficked in the world in 7 years.
It's incredible.
And a $150 billion industry from a $30 billion industry. And it just keeps growing, because we're destroying the morality of the world. We're taking the moral compass completely out of our lives, and the enemy's taken over.
And the only way to stop it is doing the things like Aaron's doing, and joining hands with him and saying, what can I do? And so I think that's the thing that we all are saying, okay, so what's next? Working with organizations like Mission America Foundation, and absolutely educating our young people and our parents to the truth of it all. And
lean on your legislators.
Yeah. So, okay, let me do my last break. In what way do we lean on our legislators? Tell me exactly what we need to do from that perspective. And there's just so much information. I'm just trying to break this down into to subject matter that you can distill, because it's just so much. But let's pause and let's talk about Corbin Creek Greenhouse Gifts and Gardening Center. I love talking to Miss Amy. I love being outdoors. I'm like her. If I could just kind of hang out outdoors and work in my garden and do all those things, that's where I'm the happiest. I love the smell of a greenhouse. I've talked about that many times, about how that's such a memory for me, because my mother was so gifted at the beautiful flowers and gardening, and we would go to the greenhouse just all the time. And that's just that smell of a greenhouse. I can't say enough about it. It's just a wonderful way to spend your lunch hour. Go and just breathe that in. You're going to come away with something beautiful, maybe a hanging plant for your porch. They're going to have mums here at mid-September is when she's thinking. They're going to have all the mums, all the things you need for fall to get you ready to go. And they've got their vegetables coming out of the garden. She goes out and picks as long as they hold and they keep producing. And of course, the stuff in her garden is all things that she started in her greenhouse. And so, as Brian Pulley has told you, best garden he ever had is when he got all of his bedding plants from Corbin. They make sure the stuff is well rooted. There's an old video of her talking about one of the things her dad taught her. And she takes a plant out of a pot, and you just see the root system. She goes, when things are well rooted, they just do better. And boy, isn't that a lesson for all of us, just in life in general. But good folks, the Corbins out at Corbin Creek Greenhouse Gifts and Gardening Center, go out there and talk to them. about everything they have going on. Be sure you go inside the store, check out the CBD products and the handcrafted items from Miss Jane. I use the CBD products, and they're locally produced. It's from the plants her brother Bill grows. It helps me tremendously with my arthritis. My doctor told me to check it out, my hip replacement doctor up in Nashville, and it has really truly helped me a lot. So go and talk to them. Corbin Creek Greenhouse Gifts and Gardening, 4920 Highway 161. You can find them their summer hours 9 to 5 Monday through Saturday, 1 to 4 on Sunday, or you can give them a call 615-384-3185, 615-384-3185. Say, hey, what are you going to be getting out of the garden today? And go get some fresh produce, and be sure and let them know that you turn sent you. Aaron Spradlin's here, and he is again from Pale Horse GRS. That is his company. And then if you need any kind of security help, palehorsegrs.com, and then missionamericafoundation.com. That is the nonprofit that you can get involved with. And if you saw the Sound of Freedom and you're like, well, what do I do? Okay, there you go. That's what you do. You get involved with missionamericafoundation.com, and you help take care of this domestically. But you say we also need to lean on our legislators. How do we do that?
Well, if you go back and you remember back in 2000, we had this threat of a state income tax, right? You remember that?
Yes.
And the late Phil Valentine led the charge with Marcia and May Beavers, and they did everything they could. And what they do, they shut it down, but they shut it down with the voices of the people. Mm-hmm. Where you could not even hear inside the chamber due to the horns beeping and the rallying cry to not have a state income tax in the state of Tennessee. And what was it? It was victorious, so that you could save a couple dollars in your wallet. Mm-hmm. Now, why can't we be that loud to save the souls of children in the state of Tennessee?
Man.
First and foremost, the Department of Children's Services in the state of Tennessee might as well be in Haiti. They do everything they can, but they could do so much more. We have a slush fund that we could dump into protecting children in the state of Tennessee, and we don't do it. Okay? The governor came out early, him and Maria stood on a step, and they said, we're going to take it to this trafficking, and then we just went on over here and did something else. If we're going to take it to trafficking, let's take it to trafficking. Now, I will say, as of late, and a meeting that we had 3.5 weeks ago with the governor, he, coming into the next session, not the special session, coming into the next session, he has agreed to go to war with us against human trafficking. That's the governor. The state assembly has been phenomenal in supporting what we're doing. There are people that we talk to that are leadership, and some of your representatives, both in the Senate and in the House, but you, the constituent, need to start knocking on the door of your legislators. Hey, the roads are bad and gas is high, and what are we doing about these kids? What are we doing? What are you doing? What laws are you drafting, or what bills are you drafting to try to get to law that is going to help us fight this as a state? Because if you can fight it and defeat it as a state, then it grows. Then now we branch that out to a Kentucky, out to a North Carolina, out to Alabama, out to Missouri. We push it out even further, and then it grows and it grows and it grows based on the litmus test that Tennessee could be. Right? We're a super majority. We should be able to do anything we want to do to fight this. We've got the money to do it. We just need the voice of the people to get behind it. So we all sit back and we complain about, well, they just don't do nothing up there in that big house. They don't do nothing up there in that big house. Why don't they? You're not talking to them.
Yeah.
You can go online and complain all day, or you can pick up your phone and you can call their office. Say, these are my concerns. This is really it's the people's house. I walk in and out of it 3 times a week. Nobody's ever stopped me. I walk through the metal detectors. I go in, knock, 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 or I set a meeting, right? John Q. Nobody walks into the door and says, hey, this is what I'm thinking about in my district. Mm-hmm. Senator, this is what I'm thinking about in my district. What are y'all doing to make this not a problem in the state of Tennessee? It came out, I just told you, 95 out of 95 counties. To give you perspective, the USA Today comes out with a scale every year, A to F, as far as a grading system, right? Tennessee is a B, which was the highest in the country at fighting child and human trafficking. It's a B. And 95 out of 95 counties are reporting trafficking under the age of 13. How bad is the rest of the country?
That's what's horrifying. That's what's horrifying is I know, because I know our representatives here. I know Senator Kerry Roberts. I know Sabi Kumar. I know they care about this.
Absolutely.
But I think they, as legislators, are going, Okay, what law do you have a law that you're like, if we passed this law, this would be a litmus test here that maybe, I mean, is there like a
We have one. We can't announce it yet. We can't announce it till January. We have it because as soon as you start to trickle it out there, the left's going to come out and try to destroy it.
Okay. Well, you talk to me about that
when we come back.
Yeah.
And we'll talk
I'll see
outside
what I can
of the
do to
wire.
help you.
But as far and we know we'll get this one passed. That is from the perspective of prosecution.
Okay.
Okay. Right now, the reason and we've been loud on other radio stations that go out all over. Our biggest problem in Davidson County is the district attorney of Davidson County. He don't do anything. He needs to be sent home, put to the golf course, wherever he needs to go, and he needs to go. Y'all are lucky you don't have him up here. He don't prosecute anything. And I took out two different publications in over 2 different weeks to take them around Nashville to see where this is happening. One came out, so I said the Daily Wire article came out. They rode with us. They did an article on the locations. The other will come out on the 25th, which is a video expose on what's happening in Nashville, just Nashville alone. I could do this all over. There's not enough time. There's not enough cameras just to shine the light that this isn't a theory. I've spoke this year, last year, I spoke to 19 different counties in the state of Tennessee. Every single time somebody tells me that, oh, you're making it up. But every single time I'm told I'm making it up, and I say, well, you want to go get in the truck?
Let's take a drive.
Nobody wants to get in the truck.
Right.
I welcome anybody that challenges that I'm making this up to just open their eyes. I don't have to take you out there. You can see it, especially if you live on the skirts of Nashville.
I want to do a ride along with you.
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
We need to.
We're completely out of time, Aaron. Aaron Spradlin is with me, my friend. Drove an hour to be with us in person. God bless you.
I drive 10 hours.
Oh, you're a doll. And he is with PaleHorseGRS.com. That is his business. If you want any kind of full service protection, they are global security. He is a veteran. He absolutely knows his stuff. Cannot say enough about it, but PaleHorseGRS.com. And then the nonprofit is MissionAmericaFoundation.com, MissionAmericaFoundation.com. If you went and saw Sound of Freedom, you're like, well, what do I do? That's what you do. You go get involved and you stay involved, and we'll find out more about this law. And we'll definitely be talking to Senator Roberts and Representative Sabi Kumar about this. And speaking of Sabi, he is going to be at the TFA meeting tonight up in Greenbrier talking about good guys with guns. And I think, are you going to come up and talk at the VFW for the Tennessee Firearms? I think you might be on the calendar.
I don't
know.
Who runs that?
Lee Marie.
Oh, yeah, then I'll be there. Yeah, I'm going to.
He knows Lee Marie.
Lee actually just texted me and asked me if I'd do 2 more. She just texted me while we were sitting here.
So that's hysterical.
I doubt I'll be speaking at the head office.
Yeah, but anyway, nonetheless, we appreciate you so much, Aaron, for coming out here and making the drive. We're a little over time. I'm so sorry. But just such an important topic. Thank you. Please continue to look into this and just stay aware. Get your head out of the sand, guys, and let's just shine light into the darkness, and he will overcome it. Thank you for being with us. This is 1100 WSGI. God bless.
Time gone by, I've traded